Let's fire it up. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Village Council regular session. It is August 15th, 2022. We'll call this meeting to order. Please remember that we are live streaming on YouTube, so hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. I'm not sure what it does, but it helps us all. And we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll take a moment of silence for all those willing and able. And Mr. Wines, when you are ready, if you do roll call, please.
Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
Trustee Reister.
Here.
Trustee Merrill. Here. Trustee Holmes. Trustee Keller.
Here.
President Frisbee.
Here. Mr. Holmes is excused tonight. So we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any changes from the staff at this time to note?
No changes, sir.
Any requests of the council to make any additions or changes? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please.
I move to approve the agenda. Trustee Wagner, I support.
Trustee Keller motioned and Trustee Wagner support. We'll do a roll call now, please, Mr. Wines.
Trustee Merrill.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Holmes. Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. We have an agenda in front of us. Do we have any scheduled appearances, Mr. Mallory?
No, sir.
Any public officials on the line that take part?
No, sir, and no citizens on Zoom.
Now's our time for citizens' comments for agenda items only. If anyone in the audience would like to speak to that, now's the time. Hearing none, we'll move on. We have a general consent agenda in front of us for the minutes of our July 18th meeting. Warrant reports totaling $594,764.86. We have event requests for September 21st, Historic Village Party in Vicksburg with a library. It should be a good time, and we're going to do, the staff is going to do the Touch a Truck event at the same time. September 25th at the Historic Village, the Pavilion and the Grounds Gazebo with Harvest Fest. And June 3rd, the Galerum graduation party at the Pavilion. Has everybody had a chance to look over the notes from our last meeting? Were there any corrections or anything to adjust? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the general consent agenda.
Trustee Wagner, I move to approve the general consent agenda as submit.
Trustee Reister, second.
Trustee Wagner, motions of support. Trustee Reister, seconds. We'll do a roll call, please. Mr. Wines?
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Merrill.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
Trustee Olson.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So we have no correspondence in front of us, and we have no action items in front of us for the evening. So we'll move on to item 12, Village Manager Report.
Yes, wanted to bring up, due to conversations that I've had with both patrons of the social district and some of the local businesses, both businesses in the restaurant, food and beverage industry, as well as the retail, and overwhelmingly very positive comments. What also brought this topic up that I wanted to is recently, within the last 3 weeks, there's been a very interesting to me conversation amongst municipal leaders on our listserv, reference the social district and different impacts that they've had in communities, ranging in all sizes, from city of Kalamazoo, Port Huron, down to the village of Vicksburg. And it's quite consistent what communities are seeing, first and foremost, that this is truly a positive economic tool for communities that have engaged and put this in place. And Port Huron just had an article written on, they're up to about 23,000 social district cups sold without incident. A lot of the comments, so I'll quantify the data that way, from 15 to 20 different municipal managers, where it is predominant that it's a lot of young couples with small kids having a dinner on a picnic table and maybe a couple beverages and enjoying the opportunity. So all of that mixed in, I felt it was a good time for Vicksburg just to let the council be aware of different conversations I've had with business owners, and again, positive. They have multiple different people have inquired, both predominantly around issues of the hours that we have, and in a positive way, would we ever look at expanding those and some other ideas. So I wanted to bring it. It is a council item. It's not on staff's hands, but if the council felt the need, we would, or the desire, we would certainly recommend that maybe, like a Port Huron, we take some time and put together, if we can quantify local data on the impact it's had on our community, and then with that, some options in front of the council maybe that would take council vote if we move in that direction.
We certainly would encourage it. We've all been approached at different times to think about the hours and about the limitations of the social district. So I think Jim prefaced it really well to address it, and I think it's an opportune time. We've been doing this for a year, although that whole year wasn't all the way enforced. But we have a pretty good understanding of what everybody wants to do going forward, so I think that's a great idea.
I'd just like to share some of those same comments that Jim has been making here. A lot of the folks in the Chamber of Commerce, local business folks, have approached me specifically and echoed those same things. So I think it's time that we do take a good look at it and task staff with bringing back a recommendation, hopefully before the end of the summer season, so maybe by our meeting in September. I think it would be a good time frame, but I'd definitely like to see some proposed changes and recommendations.
Well, let's take it one step further.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to task staff with presenting in September updates and recommendations for social district. I don't know how specific you'd like me to get, but I think that covers it.
Trustee Keller, I'll support it.
Well, we have a motion to ask the staff to enter into a study on the social district. Trustee Wagner's made the motion and supported by President Pro Tem Keller. So we'll do a roll call on that.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Merrill,
Yes.
Trustee Olson,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'll look forward to presenting that at the third week in September then.
September meeting. Thank you, Jim.
On the same, we've been looking at, and we're always trying to be in that almost 2 to 5 year window out at continuing the progressive movement we feel that the village of Vicksburg is on, and to continue the momentum. Most recently, everyone in this room, I believe, is aware of a fantastic, almost 20-year business involved in the magical industry is moving to town, and looking forward to that, but we're drawing a lot of attention and fielding some calls and inquiries. And another economic development tool that the state of Michigan legislation has put in place, and it's been in place for I believe, over 20 years, is the ability for communities and developers, if they meet the criteria, for liquor license for redevelopment purposes. And I wanted the council to be aware that I have fielded some inquiries in this area and are doing some work of due diligence, if you will, on the topic to see if this would be an area that we present to the council in the future. But it certainly would provide our community with a tool to incentivize potential businesses, especially if you're looking at upscale restaurant or something like that, to have a positive impact in our community. So having the conversations I've had with some people, I wanted to bring it to the council's attention that we are exploring this, but we certainly, the legislation requires council approval before it would move forward, and we would certainly keep you aware and provide a presentation if it were to get to the point that this would be something that we would use to finalize any type of approval process. So I just wanted to, again, to get you that information. I included the legislation and then briefs from the Michigan Municipal League, and I believe one other brief from the MEDC on the topic. So just to let you know that there's conversations taking place on that. But again, I want to reinforce no decision would be made, and it would come in front of the council a good, at minimum, 60 and probably 90 days before anything were to do to get council's input on that. So I can, if there are questions on that, or, but
Well,
I just, again.
If I may, I read through it and I see it's an application for it and it sets the criteria. Some of it is around redevelopment, right? So when it allows us to go back in time for the last 3 years. I think.
Correct. There's a governmental investment portion, which we certainly meet that with the downtown investment we have made. There's also levels, the building development as well. So it's again a legislative through the state of Michigan tool that was designed and created for the ability for communities to have an economic impact and redevelop designated areas within their community. The big thing is the liquor license is not an asset, if you will, to the developer. It would stay at that location. And if we get into a presentation, we probably get a little more into the weeds and in that, but it's definite economic tool, and I think I provided at least 2 communities that have utilized this.
So it's more than just an application for a liquor license, is what you're saying?
Oh, yes, yeah, there's multiple bullet points that would have to be met by any proposed business or developer, as well as the community, and part of those requirements would be, it would take a resolution from the council to allow something like this, so.
Yes, sir.
Jim, I just want to say thank you for this again, because this is another, we've been talking a lot this year about all the tools in our toolbox, about how we're going to support business, bring in commercial enterprise and people to visit the village and support these businesses to make us their home, to grow here and then invite people. This is just another tool in that toolbox, and I'm incredibly thankful that you found it out. So things like, the grants that we're able to offer, looking at these liquor licenses, looking at the tax abatements and credits and TIF financing and things like that. This is just another thing that's adding on to making us a great place to choose to be a business. So thank you.
Thank you.
What are you asking from us tonight?
Again, with the conversations I've had with a couple people in a small community, that sometimes the diner and barbershop and taverns outpace social media, I wanted the council to be aware that if you do hear anything, we have had some conversations but that it's months off before coming in front of the council. So I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Thanks.
Update on the pole barn building, we have had the heaters installed. Bathroom is being finished this week. So hopefully that frustration soon comes to an end. And some things that we have approved DPW within the purchasing policy is to get appropriate cabinets that store flammable liquid, cabinets for drying purposes for their winter type gear they use on fixes to infrastructure, as well as some industrial racks and mats that go on the cement underneath our equipment that have the ability to soak up anything that might be coming off of that equipment. So that's in progress, and in looking for we will bring probably in September. But the north side, it was approved within the 22-23 fiscal year budget for a fence along the north side. We have received those quotes, and the council approved an amount not to exceed $12,000, and the bids have come back, and there'll be a selection of a company, and hopefully it can get in their schedule to have that north fence put in before the winter. But we'll be updating council to that timeline when we finalize it as we move forward there. The other important thing of the DPW property is once the DPW barn we put into operational use, then we'll focus on the yard. A couple years ago, we took what scrap we could back. That process will go in, and I anticipate this year we'll prep for the 23-24 fiscal year, looking at whether painting is an option or reskinning the other buildings, as well as a south side fence, but that will come in a subsequent fiscal year. So I think the DPW property here in the next 24 months will be in a good position for this village for the next 50 years. So that's where we are there. Be happy to answer any questions. It's been a long 17 months on this process. And on a very positive note, I think we've seen in play the benefits for a village with staffing such as we have to be able to engage in a construction manager, and especially with local ties like Mike Frederick and his team at Frederick's Construction. We thank the council for approving. I mean, that was $50,000 in improvements or maintenance in both Sunset Lake Park and Clark Park with the observation deck. If anyone's been down there, neither one's complete, but the one at Sunset Lake Park is in the bottom of the 9th inning and should be stained this week. Underneath the observation deck is all prepped to put the riff rack or whatever they call it under there. And so I believe that will be this week or next week, but a real shout out of gratitude and thanks for the effort that Frederick's put into that. I'll have the final numbers because for Clark Park it was an amount not to exceed because we weren't certain if we'd have to use a cistern, and we determined we would not have to use that. However, we'll provide the final numbers of those expenditures to the council, and I anticipate that happening at the September meeting as well, but it should be well under the 30,000. But again, hopefully you can get an opportunity if you haven't to take a look, because once it was approved within a week, Frederick's Construction had teams starting on those, and we were able to open them up for the public. So, and I would go ahead.
Yeah.
Talking about Clark Park and that area there, that white fencing that's kind of falling apart, I had a citizen ask me if we were going to be doing anything with that to fix that. So I was just wondering what.
Yeah, there's
was
a
on the horizon.
section, we've had conversations And I anticipate, I'm not sure if it'll be this fiscal year or the next one, but I anticipate that section between the ponds there, that we're gonna go do a different look. Our recommendation when we cost it out, somewhat connected to at least that fencing, is also our entryway into the industrial park, which has the same type of fence, same age, same with the signs and everything. So we're seeking out some opinions on that. And I guess since I'm on a roll, the bridge there by that we put the safety things, I did get support that and identified some state money we can use. And so we've sought Prime Newhoff's input as well as Mike Fredericks on the fix there. But that I'd anticipate no later than the spring to begin the repairs on the what I'm calling the culvert bridge there at the ponds. So, and there's one more item that I'd have to update the council with, if there's no questions on.
No, it looks really good. I went by Sunset, and it's amazing what just some power wash and replacing some boards will do for the look. So with the stain, looks good.
Yeah, and I really, the support underneath, and just like Mr. Fredericks reported, you know, we understand there'll be additional maintenance we do here in the subsequent fiscal years, but to have that for the safety of the citizens' use is certainly positive. The last thing from us, I know the community on August 9th, we had a food truck rally on Tuesday, August 9th downtown. I know I saw multiple council members down. We estimate the crowd to be in excess of 2,000 people that came and went. We, again, the feedback from businesses in our retail sector as well as the restaurant beverage industry was incredibly positive. I think people are understanding we can pull these events off in their family events. People are coming down, families, pets. The Main Street and Prairie Street were designed for these events. We've had some conversations after, and everything's leading up not only to the 150th year celebration, which will be October 15th, but really setting up the summer of 2023 in looking at, you know, becoming a community that has a predictable night on a weekly event, you know, during the week, that we can draw people into our village that become aware of the amenities we offer, both in our parks and rec, in a safe community that will have a very positive economic impact. So hopefully you all have received feedback as well from the events downtown so far this summer. It's just a start as we move forward, and really our focus is certainly in October's 150th anniversary, then Christmas in the village, but the gears are turning already for the summer of 23 to be truly a breakout summer for this village as we move forward. So.
Well, I know you and I have spoke about it. I just wanted to bring the council aware if they've had any of the business owners approach them, but I believe Jim has, I have, about expanding the closure area to include Prairie. Some of the businesses on Prairie Street, we're looking for some more of the impact it would possibly have by having that street closed and the food trucks around that area. So I believe that's part of what Jim's going to look at and evaluate. Any other questions for staff? Any comments on the?
I will slip in because it happened this morning. I think it's notable as another data point, if you will, of the positivity and the asset someone like Alex Lee brings to our team. Alex this morning represented the village of Vicksburg from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WKZO, which just brings untold positive messaging about Vicksburg during those 4 hours in the top morning radio station in this community. So I appreciate Alex waking up at 4:30 and heading in and that. So thank you, Alex.
I wish I heard him, but it was 9:30 and not 4:30, but yeah, and my thanks also for taking that on and representing this community like that. Thank you. So that was a good one to slip in, Mr. Mallory.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're down to committee reports. Any updates from the tree committee?
Not that I'm aware of. We have not met.
Okay.
We have not met, and I think that Mike and Jim have been working on that, so, but the committee itself has not met.
All right. The Parks and Rec?
Okay, the Parks and Rec Committee sponsored the movie night at the Pavilion on Friday, August 12th. And I went there like while it was going on, and it looked to be about 125 people. It's hard to tell because there are people in cars trying to, and people brought their own bug spray and everything. But they had the farmers market, I think, contributed popcorn. Jenny Holmes did tattoos. The Vicksburg Cultural Arts Center had paint some rocks, and they're going to get displayed in a garden. And then also, I think they did chalk on the floor of the pavilion, so I don't know what that looks like the next day, but the kids had fun. So I think it was a success, just trying something out, and I think people really enjoyed it. So we look forward to doing it next year. So our next meeting will be August 22nd at 7 o'clock here.
That was a success from all that I heard. The Cats was canceled, so Wednesday is the next Cats meeting. Planning Commission would be Mr. Holmes. Was there anything you'd like to speak on his behalf?
No, the Planning Commission was a good conversation. We're looking at a couple different site plans that one possibly could come up in front of the Planning Commission in September. And we supplied communication that we sent to a developer from our staff, assisting that developer in ways to prep their site plan for redevelopment of a property. So, but it was a good conversation. We swore in the newest member, Zach Bishop from Four Flutes. So we have a full Planning Commission DDA. And then the next month, I have a meeting Wednesday with the village attorney to have a final draft for the grant program that will go in front of the Planning Commission and this council for their approval in September. I anticipate being able to distribute to businesses the third week of September with a 30-day turnaround time to submit the grant for, and then go for those awards at the first meeting in November.
Sewer was canceled also, and tomorrow's the next meeting.
I would like to report on the sewer.
Yeah.
And I think and believe it might have been reported but we're waiting on a couple documents that we're going on a month into the request from the sewer board to provide documents. So certainly not a contentious thing or item, but we're not in a position to report back to the sewer authority until they can provide us with a couple of our documents, so our outside consultants can provide the advice that we need to give the council on that. So
I know to which you were asking, and I will ask for those tomorrow at the meeting in the public record. Again, South County Fire was updates.
Actually, we have our meeting this Wednesday as well. I know that the request for bid went out, I believe, for the new apparatus, new tanker truck. And I think they're looking to get those back in September, I believe. But we'll have probably more information this Wednesday on all that, so.
All right, thank you. So that wraps up committee reports. This leads us to citizens' time comments for non-agenda items. At any time anyone would like to step forward, and now would be the time to do it. Seeing none, we'll move on to village trustees' times. And I'll start with Trustee Olson.
Thank you, sir. Real quick, I had a quick meeting with Tracy McMillan today, the fire chief. I dropped off a donation of Hot Wheel fire trucks and some books about fire departments that they hand out to the kids. And while we were talking, I asked him how things are going. And we're only halfway through the month. We have 16 days left, and we average about 100 calls a month. Right now, we're at 72. He only had one call today, but we're averaging 5 to 9 calls a day. We average a little over 1,000 calls a year. With 4.5 months ago, right now, we're at 842. And the fire calls are up higher right now than they've been in quite a while. So. But 65% of the calls that the fire department's going on are medicals. So with the heat, that's understandable. Vicksburg Vintage Markets this weekend, this Sunday, from 9 to 3. I stopped by the Rise and Dine the other day and talked to John and Deb. John took me through, showed me where the fire started, showed me the damage to the building. They're having to totally rip out the ceiling and that, so. And replace that, but basically it just needs a really good scrubbing, and they were looking at that point 3 to 4 weeks before they reopened. So can't wait for them to reopen, and I've already told John I'll be one of the first in line. I've known these people for over 20 years, back when Deb was running Pappy's out on South Westnage. So I think it's important that the community steps up and shows their total support for them. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Trustee Wagner.
Nothing for me this evening.
Trustee Easter.
No, I would just like to say that I did hear Alex this morning on the radio, and I agree with you, Jim. It really is an ability to put us out into the public, and he does such a fine job of it. So I really appreciate what you do, Alex.
Trustee Merrill.
Good.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Just to share that it is a little bit of a small world. I was on my way back from Sturgis, South Dakota a week and a half ago, and was at a rest area and ran into a gentleman, and he had a Bell shirt on, so I immediately said, first thing I said, are you coming or going? He said, well, we're going, and shared a little bit about the ins and outs out there, but I said, where are you at in Michigan? He goes, oh, Kalamazoo. And I said, well, we're from Vicksburg. And right away, really? Well, he's from Scott's.
Oh,
so, very small world, but he was well aware. He had some nice things to say about the village down here. So, but it was kind of cool. So, the Bell shirt gave him away, but.
Well, that's the fun part about doing what we do, right? Hearing all the fun things and meeting people that, I was at an event Tuesday night and met a couple. They're from Three Rivers, and they just love coming up to Vicksburg. It's their new favorite place to hang out now. So that was pretty neat. On a more somber note, if there's ever any questions why the village is doing what we're doing and investing in what we're investing in, right, this past weekend, there was 935,000 people that were under a boil water alert. And that's a lot of people, and it was from a water main break. So as of this morning, there was down to 130,000 people that were on a boil water. But, that just goes to show why we're investing in our infrastructure to help us avoid these catastrophes. So,
Not in Vicksburg. We can just clarify. not in Vicksburg.
Right. We are trying to avoid it in Vicksburg. That's why we're investing
None of the
so
boil
heavily.
water was in Vicksburg.
No,
For
no,
anyone,
was I- if I
the
was
11
unclear
people
about that,
watching on
It was,
YouTube right
excuse me,
now,
in Greater Detroit,
don't want to jinx ourselves.
935,000 people, right? And so it's Montcalm, Lapeer, Oakland, and St. Clair counties right now are under a state of emergency. I have my list here. I assumed everybody knew what I was talking about, but it's just practical sense. That's why we're doing what we're doing and investing in this community is to avoid things like this, so.
You know more than said those words, and Mr. Hunt got a phone call to clarify.
All right, well, that's it. Hearing nothing other, it's been a good, quick meeting tonight. We anticipated, but come September, well, we're going to be back into the bump and grind. So hope everybody's summer has been enjoyable, and we'll look forward to doing this again. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.